Hey there, it's Melissa Brunetti, and welcome to the Mind Your Own Karma podcast. Hey there, Karma Crew. Thanks for joining me for this episode of Mind Your Own Karma Beyond the Bandage. If you're listening to this episode, what that tells me about you is that you've probably tried all the usual ways to get healthier or fitter. Diets, workout plans, or endless willpower pushes, but no matter what you try, you just can't get the results you're after. Today's guest, PJ Glassey, is a personal training pioneer and brain training innovator who has spent decades helping people unlock their unique brain wiring to make lasting progress without relying on sheer willpower. PJ is the creator of the multi-protocol concept and the brain type test, which customizes fitness and health strategies based on your brain's specific wiring. If you're ready to get curious about how your brain influences your habits and how you can work with it instead of against it when it comes to fitness, this episode is for you. It's time to rip off the bandage and dive in because this episode might just change your life. We're welcoming PJ Glassey to the show today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. This is such an interesting conversation. You've been in the fitness world since the late 80s, but what struck me most about your work is that you weren't satisfied with just training the body. You realized that the brain was a big deal in that as well.
Huge.
So before we dive into brain types and rewiring, and take us back to the moment that you realized that traditional fitness methods were missing a piece of the puzzle.
Well, that started back in college. So I started my fitness journey in high school because as a freshman in high school, I was a skinny kid and I didn't want to be so skinny. So I started working out and I wanted to get jacked. Bodybuilding was cool back in the 80s. And so I thought I'd get jacked and be one of those. But found out pretty quickly that I didn't have the genetics for it and I didn't want to take drugs. So I just continued to exercise to get toned and defined, but not jacked, because that wasn't in the cards. So I fell in love with exercise. And through high school, I also had a knack for talking with friends about their problems. So I thought that it might be a good idea to become a psychologist. And so I went to Seattle Pacific University as a psych major. And that was all fine and dandy. But then when I got to my senior year, I realized that my real passion was exercise. So I switched to exercise science. And in my degree to getting exercise science, I discovered that traditional training was invented in 1891.
Wow.
That's pretty outdated.
Yeah.
And so I figured, well, we're not still driving cars from back then. So I bet you there's some better stuff that we could be doing. And so I set out to develop a better exercise methodology. And so when I graduated, I was training people mostly out of their homes, and they were my guinea pigs. So my exercise science degree taught me how to read research. So I kept doing that. I became a voracious research nerd and learned how to determine which studies were valid and which studies were bogus. Most are bogus, by the way.
Wow.
But yeah. And so based on those studies, I started doing experiments to create a methodology and kept asking my clients, AKA guinea pigs, what they want. And they were fine with the experimentation because they thought it was fun to try new stuff. And everybody had been doing traditional training because that's all we knew. And That's all still what most people, all they know. And so I talked to them about time savings because the people that can afford personal training are also really busy people. And they have either been injured or they don't want to get injured again because they're, 40 to 60 years old. So they've been through all that and they're over it. They're also over the whole getting jacked phase. They just want to be toned and defined. So I set out to develop a methodology to grant those wishes of something safer, something that takes way less time, and something that will tone and define and give them functional fitness to enjoy life and do fun, active things, but not get jacked. So it took me 11 years, but I developed the methodology in that time and then opened the X Gym in 1998. And we've been doing it since then. So that's kind of how I got started and the interest. However, my other passion is still psychology. And with all the psychology classes and training in college, I've really combined the two and have found out that the brain is actually the boss of whether someone is going to reach their fitness or health goals.
Wow.
And habits and exercise and things like that are great. And it certainly helps if it's sustainable because it's just 21 minutes and all that stuff that we do. But the brain is still the boss.
Mm-hmm.
And so, with my passion in psychology, I developed a brain type test. Also, thanks to mom, who put me even more deeply into the research in psychology and the brain, because she was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's in the year 2000 at 50 something years old.
Wow.
And so I threw myself more into that. But unfortunately, we didn't know enough back then to help her. So she passed in 2005, but I never stopped studying it because the science was changing. And I was really excited to find out how it was going to change to help more people with preventing dementia, but also just improving their brain and improving their mental state and their mood and breaking their patterns, forming new habits and all that stuff. And so I kept at it. And then finally, thanks to all that research and mom's inspiration to help people, I came up with my brain type test. So it all started with the brain research taught me brain training exercises to help people get past blocks or food cravings or emotional eating. So there are certain exercises you can do to literally rewire your brain to think differently and to end up being different.
Wow.
And so I was using these techniques with people, but it was kind of a hit and miss. And so, it's like throwing spaghetti up the wall because I had about 30 of them developed, but I didn't know for sure which ones to try. And some would work with some people and others would work with other people. So I determined to set out and develop a test, a 20-question quiz that would tell me their unique brain wiring. So there's 16 different brain types. And based on what brain type a person is, now I know which brain training exercises to recommend to them, which ones are going to make sense to them. And so now I've got this tool, and other trainers and coaches use it too now to help their people. And people just take it raw to help themselves. But then they can figure out what's going to make sense to their brain wiring and which techniques are going to motivate them, which techniques are going to help them with cravings, emotional eating, lots of other things to get fitter and healthier faster with less willpower required.
That is crazy. So does that involve, because I know a lot of, people in sports use imagery.
Yeah.
And maybe even like even self-limiting beliefs that you might have or something might be blocks.
Huge. Yeah. We don't always get what we want, but we usually get what we expect. Mm-hmm. So when someone expects something to turn out a certain way, their subconscious brain is actually on task to help them do that. A lot of people call that manifestation. So they manifest their own destiny. And it's the subconscious brain that's doing that. And that's what most people don't realize is the subconscious brain is in charge of us. And it operates at about the level of a 3-year-old. So it likes the status quo. It likes comfort. It likes to stay in the comfort zone. It doesn't like doing hard things. And it has temper tantrums. And when we can use our prefrontal cortex, what I call the parent brain, to train this toddler, then we can reprogram the toddler and change the toddler into someone that's helping us instead of fighting against us. Yeah.
So what does it look like when someone comes to you and they take the test? Is it part psychology and part working out, or what does that look like?
Yeah. So one of the reasons that I switched from psychology to exercise science is because I thought, well, I really like everything about exercise science and exercise and helping people get in shape. And I like a lot of things about psychology, but I like to talk to people once or twice and try to help them as fast as possible. I don't think I'm going to have a very good time listening to people's problems every day and helping them ruminate about things like most psychologists do. I can't see I would have as much fun doing that as I would doing helping people get fit. I'd probably make more money, but I wouldn't be as happy, and I'd rather be happy. And so that's another reason I switched over. And so it's not about sitting down and doing talk therapy and helping them ruminate and helping them get to the core and talking about things over and over and over with repeat sessions. I want to help people a lot faster than that. Now, there are certain situations where people do need talk therapy and they do need to go, deeper,
Hmm.
damage, abuse, those kinds of things. Certain personalities need that, and they need to talk through stuff. And extroverts, introverts, there's all right brain, left brain. There's all different kind of people, and so I'm not knocking that. I just didn't want to do that
Yeah.
myself.
Hmm.
But there's certainly value to the people that do that with people. And I didn't want to talk about I didn't want to do therapy with people. I wanted to see how quickly I could help somebody just with things like cravings and emotional eating and the common problems that people have that cause yo-yo dieting, but also to help them create a new identity about their health and fitness, and then leave the other stuff to the psychologists
Yeah.
and the therapists. And so it's really, I can dovetail easily, and the therapists are partners with me, and so we can do it together. But I'm more about helping people with the health and fitness, and that's what the brain type test is geared toward, and that's what I aim to do with this. And so then it does, and it helps, and it in a very short period of time, it instructs people on how to help themselves. So the brain type test ends up being a coach that they can use. They have techniques now to help themselves and to take control and rewire their own brains for these specific goals to make health and fitness easier and quicker.
Yeah, I love that because that's what I do with my clients with somatic mindful guided imagery. It's like once you learn the tools, once you learn how to speak to your body and your brain and your subconscious and tap into that stuff, there's some super easy things. And once you learn
Yep.
those, it's like you don't have to come to me every week for a year. Like you
Yes.
learn how to facilitate yourself. We have given the power away to so many doctors and gurus,
Mm-hmm.
when really we have the power to do a lot of things ourselves and we just,
Heck yeah.
yeah, we give it away. So
Heck
yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
I love empowering people like that.
Yeah.
That's
And things
awesome.
like the somatic therapy and EMDR, things like that, take more training. And that's above and beyond what the brain type test is about. But there are very powerful techniques in the brain type test, like EFT, the tapping, and visualization and affirmations. I call them declarations, and specific ways of doing those kinds of things that don't require repeat practice, because it's either a skill that a therapist has acquired that needs to happen to help that person, or it just takes longer than is necessary for you can do yourself. You just need help.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
those things aren't in the brain type test.
Yeah. Well, I love that too, that you're open to having kind of like a team when you work with someone. Like if you see somebody that actually needs a little more help, like a
Yes.
therapist in some way. So I love people that are open to that because a lot of people feel like my way is it, and
Yeah.
you don't need anybody else. So that's
Right.
awesome that you're open to that.
Oh yeah, I refer people out all the time
Yeah.
for that kind of help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what surprises people when they take the brain test?
Well, the first thing is a shocker. They About 90% of them say, "Whoa, this is spooky. It is so me, it's spooky." So it's even spookier than something like the Myers-Briggs, where it's fun and you go, "Oh yeah, that's totally me. Oh my gosh, this is so," and that one not so much. But seems to be more on point with, their personality, and it's geared again towards, this is the kind of workout you need. This is the kind of that these are the kind of techniques that help motivate you. These are the ones that are going to help you. You tend to overeat with your brain type, or another brain type you tend to undereat, and so you might miss protein and not. And so they read those things and they're going, "Whoa, yeah, this is so helpful." And then, heck, couples take it, and then they understand each other better.
Yeah.
And well, I have a personal example with that one. My wife is the more sensory type. And so she cares more about taste and texture, and she enjoys all those things. And where me, food is fuel. I'm hungry. Okay, let's just get through it, and let's get the fuel part in, and want to make sure the macro ratios are right and all that kind of stuff. Where she's more about, let's enjoy the experience and the food itself. And so one time we went to a store where they had these really inexpensive as a closeout on these healthy drinks that tasted really good. And they were just the sugar-free, yummy, organic, all the good stuff. So we bought a case, took it home, and over the course of the next few weeks, she plowed through hers. And then my half, because we split it in half. My half, I'd drinking like three,
Yeah.
because, she's really into the experience and the taste and everything. And I'm like, yeah, it's yummy, but I'm not thirsty right now. So I can, so she looked at mine sitting there and she goes, so yeah, drink those? And I go, yeah, I'm kind of plugging away. And then I remembered her brain type test, that she's very sensory and it's very important to her, and for me not so much.
Yeah.
And so I came back later and I said, actually, go ahead and help me with those, because it's more important. You're going to enjoy them a lot more than I am. It's kind of a coin flip whether I drink a glass of water or one of those.
Mm-hmm.
And so then she was able to plow through mine. And so just helping, couples that take that can understand each other better.
Yeah.
And then it can just help them, because when you know your partner
Right.
better, then you can speak their language and say certain things better and not say other things.
Right.
And then help the whole relationship.
Right. So many people blame themselves when they struggle with, working out and willpower and things like that. How does your approach reframe that struggle for them, and show them that it's more their wiring than,
Mm-hmm.
than
Yeah.
blaming?
So when a traditional trainer gets a hold of somebody, they typically give them a PDF that they give to all their clients. This is what you should eat
Cookie
because this
cutter.
works
Yeah.
great. Well, that trainer has learned through trial and error and experimentation what works great for themselves. They're going to assume that that's going to work for everybody else because they found what works. Okay, well, everybody has different physiology and metabolism and brain. And so there's an 80% chance that PDF is not going to work for that client.
Wow.
Because they're not going to be a similar brain type or physiology. And so there's an 80% chance that client's going to come back to that trainer and say, yeah, thanks, but I tried best I could for a week, but I don't know, I just couldn't. And then the trainer usually responds with, well, yeah, you just need more willpower. You just got to suck it up and just do it.
Yeah.
But that's because they don't realize it's not working, because it's not computing. It's not making sense to their brain wiring. So this test determines what brain wiring they are, and then makes recommendations based on that, what will likely work, instead of the 80% chance that it won't work.
Yeah. Wow. That would be huge. So you talk about your protocol. It's like a 1 minute workout.
Mm-hmm.
Does that also include this extra psychology, imagery or whatever it is that the brain type needs, as
It
well as
does.
the workout? The whole 21 minutes. Wow.
Yeah. So the 21 minutes, and it's twice a week. So that's 42 minutes a week.
Dang. Crazy.
That's equivalent to about 7 hours of traditional training.
Yeah.
Because of the research and all the experiments that I did, we're still doing experiments. I still study the research at least 2 hours a day. And so we're constantly refining and improving our program. And it's so efficient that it's sustainable. It's easy to do 42 minutes a week.
Yeah.
And it's safer because everything is time under tension, controlled movements. So we're using light weights, elastic resistance, body weight stuff, as opposed to big heavy weights, fast ballistic, snappy reps like traditional training. So that's different too. And because of the time under tension, it's also endurance training. So people end up getting toned and defined, but not jacked, not bulky, which is why women like it so much. Yeah. But also the men in my biggest part of my bell curve, they're over the jacked phase, and they too just want to be toned and defined, look and feel fit, and be able to do fun stuff. And so that is the purpose of it, and that's what it accomplishes. And the brain type test helps determine how to motivate them to keep them, even though it's really easy to sustain just 42 minutes a week. Still, you have to form a new habit and a new lifestyle.
Yeah.
More importantly, you have to form a new identity, meaning this becomes part of your identity, just like brushing your teeth.
Yeah.
So when you rewire your brain, you end up thinking differently, and you identify as a person who works out twice a week or more. I mean, I tell people all the time, because they ask me, is that just enough? And I go, well, yeah, but the purpose of this is to make your life better and to give you the ability to do really fun, active stuff.
Yeah.
So start doing that.
Right.
And then you can enjoy the results from your workout here, and you'll find the fun, active stuff easier, and therefore you'll do more of it. And now your life is getting better and you're going to enjoy it more. Yeah. So with the brain type test, and the 21-minute twice a week, and without getting injured, which is a setback and delays progress, they are able to do all that with less willpower, because when they do come across a roadblock or a wall or a mental block, they know how to get past it.
So do you have to go to the gym to do this? Can you do it at home?
Oh, there's a bunch of ways. I mean, there's people who have, like, they've worked out at X Gym for a while and they moved to the East Coast or India. So some of them will continue training with our online training because we do a ton of that. Others have worked out with us so long, they know how to do it. And so they just keep doing it on their own, which is great. I don't want people to have to be dependent on us for the rest of their life. And I'd like to help. I mean, my business model is not just to help the same people every year. It's to work through and have people graduate so they can do it on their own, and then help new people so I can help more people.
So is this something that you can do over Zoom, have,
Yeah.
conversation with you and make a plan? And so you don't have to be where an X Gym is at. Totally.
We do online training through FaceTime or Teams or Zoom. And we also have an app. So people, typically someone will work out with us for a while, and then if they move, they'll train with us for Zoom for a while or for FaceTime or Teams. And then they will graduate to the app, because now they understand the methodology that we use. They're really good at it. They understand really good form and the exercises that we're doing. And then they'll just go to the app, and where they have the video exercises with, me demonstrating and me coaching in all the videos. And so then they can continue that way.
Awesome. That's great. What's a health myth that everybody believes that you wish we could retire forever?
Well, I would say that calories are all the same. So I wrote a book about it, Cracking Your Calorie Code. And it also has exercise methods in there, and it also has brain training stuff in there. But then the most recent version is Kindle, which makes it easier. But it's calories are not all the same. It's not about counting calories and the total number of calories. That number is about as useful as total cholesterol.
Mm.
So it's pretty much worthless. And it's about the kind of calories that you eat and when you eat them and about how much at a time. So if you are, if you can get past, hopefully with brain training exercises, get past overeating and then timing and hunger, those kinds of things, take all techniques for that, then you're more in control of the amount. And then you're thinking about what kind of calories. So there's a big difference between real food calories and processed food calories. The number might be the same,
Mhm.
but the effect on the body is certainly not. So if I were to eat 3,000 calories of Twinkies every day, we know what would happen. But if I were to eat 3,000 calories of spinach every day, that's going to have a completely different effect.
Yeah.
The total calories are the same, but one's going to make me fatter, the other's going to make me leaner, regardless that both total calorie amounts are over my metabolic rate.
Yeah.
So even if you are eating more calories than your metabolic rate, if it's really good, clean, organic food, especially, those green veggies, grass-fed meat, all those good things, then you are creating a metabolic phenomena in your system that helps you burn fat and get leaner. So that's really what it has to do with more than anything. Now, for the people who say, well, yeah, but if I ate, 5 or 6,000, well, then you're overeating. So now you're
Hmm.
spiking your insulin because just the volume of food. And that's
Yeah.
kind of what it comes down to, really, is the bottom line is how much your insulin is being affected. And if your insulin is spiked and you just ate a bunch of fat, now you're going to store it, even if it's low carb.
Yeah.
But if your insulin is low and it's consistent throughout the day, then you're just going to be burning fat all day.
Yeah. Can you walk us through maybe your own workout, your 21-minute workout? I'm just curious, like how many minutes is actually
Mm-hmm.
the workout and how many minutes is the mental part?
Yeah. So the mental part comes in as needed, and that will be techniques based on the person, the individual. Now, this is time under tension. So let me just give you an example of one of the exercises. Let's just say it's a squat. And so a body weight squat, for instance, like you're sitting down in a chair, but it's going to be a low chair and you're going to do it really slow. So you're going to take 10 seconds to get down to the chair.
Mm.
And then when you feel it touch your butt, you hold it there for 2 seconds. Really light, just a light touch. And then see how slow you can start out of that bottom position to take 10 seconds to go back up. But the top is not straight legs. The top is only 2/3 of the way up. So your knees are still bent, your quads are still contracting. That's one rep. And now head back down and do the same thing, rinse and repeat until you fail, until you can't get off the chair. Literally stuck on the chair using perfect form the whole time, chest out, arched back, all those things. So the form never suffers. So you're failing in perfect form. And for somebody who's in really good shape, they could do that for about 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Then they're going to fail, and then they're going to be on the chair, but they're still pushing. Their feet are still heavy, pushing down into the floor. And as they're doing that, their quads are still contracting. And now we can give them some brain training techniques. One of my favorites is what I call the cold blue fuel. So by then, the quads are screaming burning, but there's coping mechanisms and techniques that you can do with your brain to keep you going for more benefits. Because the longer time under tension, the better. So you can stay in this time under tension down there on the chair, sitting lightly on the chair. By now, you've shifted instead of staying off the chair, now you've shifted your focus to how heavy your feet can be. So you're stuck in the chair. It's hopeless. You can't get up anymore, but you're still going. So now you're focusing on how heavy your soles feel against the floor. And as you do that, you're going to think about the burn in your quads as a fuel, because lactic acid is actually a fuel. We used to think back in the old days that it was a limiting factor. It's not. It's the limiting factors are hydrogen ions and muscle temperature and those things. Lactic acid is actually a fuel. So you thank the burn, you thank the lactic acid for coming to help you, and you visualize it as a fuel because it is washing over your muscles, fueling the muscles that are
Mm.
burning, and it's blue and it's cold. So blue is calming, and cold helps the muscle temperature. The muscle temperature is going to do what it's going to do, but the brain, it's the brain's interpretation of the
Yeah.
temperature that's important, because it's not the muscle that shuts itself down, it's the brain that shuts the muscle down. So if you can convince the brain that that muscle isn't as hot as it really is, then it'll help you keep going.
Yeah.
And so that's probably one of my favorites to use. There's a lot of other ones, but that's a nice effective one.
Yeah. I can just see how this type of training would be great for those that feel like I've tried everything, nothing works.
Yeah.
I'm totally defeated,
Mm-hmm.
this is just a totally different way of thinking about it. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I get those people all the time, and a lot of trainers do. A lot of trainers will get a client that's come to them, and they're just about giving up.
Yeah.
They've tried it themselves, and nothing that they've tried themselves works. So that's why they're coming to a trainer. So we get that comment a lot. I've tried everything, and I just don't know what to do. I need help, and that's why they're there. And so that's a pretty common comment for sure.
Yeah. So how does rewiring the brain can it go beyond just physical results into like trauma or emotional support?
Yes, and it may or may not work depending on what the trauma is and the emotional help that they need. They might need something more professional, but it's certainly helped a lot of people. Gosh, one of the stories I have is a woman who came to me and she was traumatized by a car accident that her sister died in. And because of that, she had an understandable, gripping, paralyzing fear of driving on highways.
Mm.
So everywhere they went, just back roads, no highways. And through breathing exercises and the brain type test and specific, I got her past it. She had tried therapists for 15 years. Nothing
Mm.
worked.
Wow.
And so the rumination therapy didn't work and talk therapy didn't work, even cognitive behavioral therapy. But there was some breathing stuff and some different, and the tapping helped her, and some refocusing and other techniques where she was able to get past that. And now she's driving highways.
Yeah, I mean, even just the protocol you were talking about with like the blue, kind of washing
Yeah.
over, like I could see where you could use that in other areas of your
Mm-hmm.
body. Like if you were feeling pain or,
Yep.
something like that, that imagery would possibly bring it down a few notches.
Yes. So pain is a pattern. And when you can interrupt that pattern, then you can reduce the pain and then keep going in your contractions to affect more muscle fibers. So with traditional training, when they get to failure, they get to the point where it's really hard and they can't do it, and then they're done.
Hmm.
Well, we go beyond that. We get to the hard part where it's really hard and you can't do it, and then we keep going.
Yeah.
So, like the chair example is a really good example, because you get to the point where you fail and you're stuck in the chair. With traditional training, you're done. Oh, great, you did it. You can't get off the chair anymore. Good job.
Yeah.
Well, we let them stay there and just be light on the chair and keep going, because at the point where you've reached that intensity and that failure level on the chair where you can't get off, let's say you have fatigued 70% of your muscle fibers. Great. So when you have done that and you've made 70% of your fibers fail, now 70% of all those fibers have gotten the message for change. And that's the bottom line. When the muscle cell runs out of fuel, then it sees, oh gosh, I better change. I was not able to do that. So I need to get stronger. If you stop before the muscle cell has run out of fuel and failed, then the muscle cell says, well, I was able to do that. I'm good. No need for change. So if you fail at 70% of the muscle fibers and then quit, that's good. But why not shoot for 85%? So you can keep going. Yes, you're stuck in the chair, but that doesn't mean we're done. We got another minute to go. And now let's try to make it 85%. You can never get to 100. Nobody can do that. But you can get past 70.
Yeah.
And so it gives you that extra little bit.
Yeah. So neuroplasticity is kind of seen as a buzzword right now, but you kind of use it in a practical way. How do you tap into neuroplasticity in your training to help people rewire?
Mm-hmm. Well, our motions and the range of motion is very controlled. And so you are necessarily changing your brain, changing the nerves, creating new nerve pathways, and rewiring current nerve pathways, and strengthening the right pathways and weakening the wrong pathways from a motor perspective. And that's great. Plus, exercise is going to increase the secretion and production of BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which is miracle grow for brain cells. So all of what I just explained is neuroplasticity. So it's helping the physical part of it. Now, when you put brain training in with that, now you're changing those nerves, you're changing your identity, who you are, and how you think. And while you're exercising, because of BDNF, that changes faster. So you can do these things at home too, but if you're willing to exercise while you're doing these things, it's even better. And same thing for learning. I mean, anytime that you learn something new, that's neuroplasticity.
Yeah.
You're creating new pathways. You might even be growing new nerves. And that's what neuroplasticity means. So I would say for students too, get a upright bike and stick it in your dorm room, or go to the gym while you study and do your studying. It doesn't have to be intense exercise, but it should be moderate. Even light is going to be better than sitting down at your desk and reading that textbook. You're still going to be getting BDNF with light, and BDNF is going to help you learn new things and commit them to long-term memory. So then when the test rolls around, you can recall them easier.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a nice little trick. What is one small actionable step that listeners can take to begin working with their brain wiring instead of against it?
Well, the first step is just to know about this, because 90% of the people haven't even heard this before. They don't know that they can rewire their brain.
Yeah.
And they don't know what that means and how that can benefit them. But that is the first step. And then the next step is be open to trying new things, because we're creatures of habit. And every day, 95% of our thoughts are the same as they were yesterday. And so let's just make that 10%. So open your mind, think about new stuff, try new stuff, and learn new stuff. And I also have a web page that is dedicated to helping people prevent dementia and even reversing it.
Wow.
And learning new things is one of the 5. And especially if it's hard and outside your field of expertise. So every year I do my own learn new thing brain training experiment to exercise my brain, because we have to work that out too. That's like a muscle as well. And so that's why I've done things like, become a general class ham radio operator. I'm a private pilot. It's things that are really hard, but outside my field of expertise. So it's not using the nerve pathways that I've already wired. It's making new ones. And when you do that, even as simple as going to a grocery store in your neighborhood that you've never been to do your shopping, or taking a new way home, in your car that you've never taken. Even if it's just promising yourself, I'm going to do something new today. And then promising once a week, I'm going to learn something that's really hard to learn, something new that I'm not good at, and it's going to be really hard. And when you're doing that, when it becomes really hard, when you get to the point where you're frustrated, you go, oh my goodness, I got to take a break. This is so hard. I'm getting frustrated. Why is this so hard? Like a new language, for instance. It starts out easy, but then you get to the point where you just can't get something. Why am I not getting this? Well, when you were frustrated and when you get to the part where it's super hard, that's when the best and most neural changes are happening. That's when they start. So you remember when you're doing something hard and learning something hard, instead of stopping because it's hard, you tell yourself, nope, I'm doing this for the neuroplasticity. That's the whole reason I'm doing this.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to push through right now because the good stuff just started. And now not only are you getting more neural networks formed and new neurons, but you're teaching yourself to do hard stuff, and you're going to get better at doing hard stuff. Even a hard workout helps you do hard stuff. So we hear about people who have their to-do list and they have at least one big rock on their to-do list, something that's really hard, right? Most people just put it off until tomorrow, and then they put it off till next week, and then next month, and then next year, and that big rock never gets done. Well, if you're doing hard stuff and you forced yourself to do hard stuff, starting with the easy hard stuff like the new grocery store, but ending up with the hard stuff, like a new language or your pilot's license, now your brain isn't scared of hard stuff. And so now you're able to find motivation easier and discipline easier. And it's more importantly, discipline, because motivation is great to keep you started, but discipline is the thing that keeps you going.
Yeah.
And if you're good at doing hard stuff because you've done a lot of hard stuff and you've buffed up that hard stuff muscle, now all the other fun hard stuff all those big rocks, they're not so big anymore. And you're able to do hard stuff. And now you can succeed at whatever you want to succeed at. Some people say success is money. Other people say success is family. Whatever your success is, now you're going to be better at it, because for sure, to get good at anything, you have to be good at hard stuff, because that never comes easy. And so if you're practicing it and buffing up your hard stuff muscle, then you're more likely to achieve things because you can do it.
Yeah. I'll have to remember that when I'm practicing my Duolingo.
Yes. When it gets the hardest is
I
the
get so
best. That's the
frustrated.
best. Yes. Yes.
I'll try and remember that.
Right.
But I'm wondering, like, I've always been, I used to go to the gym all the time. I used to teach aerobics. I ran, and now I've had to have 2 hips replaced. And the last one was almost 2 years ago, and I had some nerve damage in my foot from it. So I haven't been doing anything. So I need to hear like a story from you, from a client that wowed you. That basically came from, I can't do anything to.
Yeah. Well,
something great.
Right. And when someone is starting or restarting, it's the same formula. Start with something small. And maybe for you, it would be going outside your house and walking around it. Now that's going to be way too easy for you, but that's okay, because you're going to do that every day. And that's part of you. And that's maybe you stack that with brushing your teeth. So as soon as you're brushing your teeth, you're done brushing your teeth, you go outside and you walk around your house. And then pretty soon that's going to be ridiculous and it's going to feel silly. So then you walk around the block. And then you do that until that feels silly. And then you jog around the block. And to that feels silly. And then you keep increasing. But the key and the reason that you do it so easy, it's too easy to not do it. So you pick that thing and then you make sure that you do it every day. Or if you would rather be a 3-time-a-week person, it's 3 times a week. And it's non-negotiable. It's an appointment that you put in your phone calendar and you can't cancel it. So nobody gets to hijack it. And maybe there's an emergency. And so then you move it. So you just, you slide it down to another time, but it doesn't go off your calendar and you can't go to bed until you've done it, because it's who you are. And now, because you've done that so much, and because it's such a part of your life, now you're that person. And now you can build on that base established habit as much as you want because it's there and it's part of your wiring.
Good start. Good start. If you could leave listeners with one message about brain-based fitness, that moment of encouragement when they're ready to give up, what would it be?
Well, usually the time when someone is ready to give up means results are right around the corner.
Mm,
So I talked about the subconscious brain operating about the level of a 3-year-old, and toddlers love the status quo. They don't like to change. And so when you get to the point where the toddler's throwing a tantrum, that's because you're changing. And at the time when the toddler's trying to sabotage you and to make you quit, that's because results are actually happening.
yeah.
And just around the corner, you'll actually see them. And so just talk to your toddler. Give it a name. Mine is named Timmy. I talk to Timmy all the time. He's my friend. I don't ever get mad at Timmy. It's not an anger thing. It's a,
Yeah.
hey, let's work with Timmy. I'm going to use my prefrontal cortex, the parent's brain, and I'm going to teach Timmy how to do things, and I'm going to correct Timmy when needed, and tell Timmy what's we're going to do next, until Timmy adopts it too, and then helps me instead of fights me.
Hmm. How long does that take usually? Does it depend what it is?
Yes. So for me, it's pretty quick because I've been doing it for
You've
so
been-
many
yeah.
years.
Yeah.
And also, have you heard of TMS, tension myoneural syndrome?
Mm-mm.
So everybody gets aches or pains from time to time, including me, but most of them are Timmy trying to distract me from something that I need to address.
Yeah.
So a stress that I'm suppressing or whatever. And it's easier for him to give me pain in a part of my body than to let that out, to release whatever I'm supposed to be dealing with mentally. So he keeps it inside and gives me pain instead.
Mm-hmm.
But I know I know what a real injury, how it's caused, what it feels like, and how long it lasts, and all that kind of stuff, because of my physiology and anatomy and all that training. And so 99 times out of 100, it's not real. It's Timmy shutting down blood supply to a certain part of my body to distract me from something I need to be dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
So I just say, okay, Timmy, my ankle is hurting right now, and I know it's you. It's nothing I did. I can't think of anything. And I didn't just do something. There wasn't any mechanism of injury that just happened. Like I didn't just twist it or anything. This is just weird and random. It's not real. So,
Yeah.
Timmy, let's talk about this. I know that you're trying to protect me, and I'm thanking you for that. But let's just let this out. I can deal with it. And I know this isn't real. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go for a really hard run. Actually, today, I felt it walking out my door. And so I was limping because it was really hurting. But I'm like, this is so random. This is Timmy. This is not real. And so as soon as I got to the stairs, I actually, instead of stepping down the stairs, I jumped down the stairs and I
Wow.
landed with impact to show Timmy, I can see this isn't real. See, I'm not babying this. This is fake. This is you trying to help me. I thank you for that, but you don't need to. And I'm going to keep jumping on this until the pain goes away. And by about 5 steps later, it's gone.
Oh, wow.
No pain.
Wow.
So if people want to read more about this, it could be any of Dr. Sarno's books, Sarno. He was a
Okay.
spine surgeon and he came up with this.
Wow.
But it's huge for me and for a lot of other people.
Yeah. So where can listeners find you if they want to find out more or work with you?
xgym.com, xgym.com
Okay.
is
great.
and the brain type test is braintype.me. So those are really the only two sites, and everything is
Okay.
on there. So like on xgym.com, they just scroll down to the bottom for the socials if they're into that.
Okay.
But yeah, it's pretty easy.
Awesome. Well, all those links will be in the show notes. This has been a huge eye opener for me. I just love how you've shown that fitness isn't like all willpower. Well, it feels like punishment a lot of times, but it's
Yeah.
not. It doesn't have to be. It's
Right.
about partnering with your own wiring, and but
Yeah.
that's a whole new way of thinking about it. So
Yeah.
thanks for going beyond the bandage with us
Yeah,
today.
my pleasure. Thanks. It was fun talking with you.
PJ Glassey's work reminds us that healing and transformation are not just about pushing harder or trying harder. It's about understanding and working with the unique wiring of our own brains. If this episode sparked curiosity about how your brain shapes your habits and health, I encourage you to explore this approach more deeply. The links are in the show notes. And if you're curious how somatic healing and SMGI can support your own journey of reconnecting to your body, calm your nervous system, and release old patterns, you can learn more or book a session with me at somatichealingjourneys.com. If you have an unconventional or out of the box healing modality and want to share it with the Karma crew and be a guest on Mind Your Own Karma, just email me at mindyourownkarma@gmail.com. Thanks for listening today, Karma crew. And remember to take what you need and leave what you don't. And always remember to mind your own karma. I'll see you next time.